Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for tonight's issue of Crossfire, which will bring to you the executive summary of yesterday's panel discussion, Fortress Europe, the crisis at EU's southern border. Yesterday, on December 19th, we commemorated International Migrants' Day for the 14th time. For this occasion, we gathered a group of experts to cover as many aspects of the topic as possible. In the extracts we prepared for you, you will hear Mrs. Laura Garcia, spokesperson of the Spanish Ministry of the Interior, Mrs. Lucia Fernandez, spokesperson of the Public Relations Department of Human Rights Watch, Mr. Klaus Rösler, Director of Operations Division, Frontex Agency, and Mr. Youssef Amrani, Moroccan Minister Delegate for Foreign Affairs. First off, we have prepared statements from the first half of the discussion, which centered on the human rights situation in the greater Mediterranean region. Gruesome incidents such as the Lampedusa tragedy have sparked a public outcry over the European migration policy. The question that was put to our experts was, what are the causes for this rise in numbers, and what needs to be done?
In the opinion of Human Rights Watch, it is paramount to acknowledge the various push factors that drive humans to leave their homes. Many of them try to flee droughts, others want to escape persecution and military conflict, and we cannot forget the prevalent extreme poverty in many sub-Saharan countries. And when these refugees arrive in the Maghreb countries, they do not find the safety they were looking for. Instead, they suffer from the brutal and racist treatment of Moroccan and Spanish border guards.
If I could just interrupt you here. I find it necessary to clarify at the very beginning of this discussion that we are not talking about refugees, but rather about migrants. There is a decisive legal difference here. As long as they have not been officially recognized as refugees by a receiving state, they are merely considered migrants. And might I add that the majority of the people we are talking about today are considered illegal migrants, as they use clandestine ways of traveling.
Thank you for clarifying. I would like to take the opportunity to respond to Mrs. Fernandez's accusations. Only last year has His Royal Highness King Mohammed VI underlined the importance of human dignity for everyone. The report published by Human Rights Watch in 2013, accusing Moroccan authorities of mistreating African immigrants, is clearly unfair and flouts Morocco's new migration policy. Morocco has ratified all human rights instruments and continues to uphold their implementation. The new migration policy is based on a comprehensive and responsible approach and a global vision. When it comes to discussing issues surrounding migration, we feel the need to emphasize the role played by criminal networks, as those are responsible for most violations of human rights. Morocco is not able to tackle the problem on its own. The flow of migrants must be reduced before they come to Morocco. Therefore, we are calling for stronger international cooperation.
Yes, we acknowledge the importance of combating transnational crime, but it cannot take precedence over the protection of the human rights of migrants.
As the representative of the Spanish Internal Minister, we agree with Morocco that the problem is very far-reaching and has to be solved in an early stage. The crisis in the Middle East and Africa have several consequences for the southern members. The causes of migration must be fought where they originate to resolve the issue on the long term.
Although experts ascribe different weight to the aspects of protecting human rights versus fighting transnational crime, they agree that the problem of illegal migration must be tackled at its roots and through enhanced cooperation. However, this cooperation proves difficult, as the EU is often criticized for its lack of a comprehensive approach towards migration. The member states see border control and migration issues as sensible topics that are touching on their national sovereignty. Decisions are therefore always led by national interests. To address these issues, we asked our experts what kind of reforms are needed to adapt EU's migration policy to the current challenges.
We as Frontex are constantly faced with the criticism of inhumanely treating the illegal immigrants in our custody, but this view is completely removed from the operational reality of Frontex. We have reacted extremely quickly to the Lampedusa incident and by reallocating flexible funds managed to conduct 638 search and rescue missions that saved over 57,000 lives. In addition, we are currently implementing a new directive on maritime surveillance with a stronger emphasis on non-refoulement and SAR missions.
We are glad to hear that Frontex is taking the responsibility of contributing to the SAR missions in the Mediterranean, but it's simply not enough. If we compare the budget of the former Mare Nostrum missions, which cost Italy €9 million per month, it is evident that the new Frontex Plus missions, which is funded with €3 million per month, cannot suffice. At the core of this insufficiency, we see that the conflict between northern and southern EU states, where the north is not willing to appropriately support the south.
We agree that there is a lack of commitment by EU member states. This can, for example, be seen by certain countries not taking their asylum responsibilities seriously. Italy is a case in point, where officials refrain from registering migrants and pass the burden to northern countries. And we feel that the newly introduced Frontex Plus mission is too strongly focused on the control of EU borders and doesn't show ample consideration for the critical situation of migrants crossing the Mediterranean.
If I might add that the highly acclaimed Mare Nostrum mission was not without drawbacks. Yes, the numbers of rescued migrants are remarkable, but the practice of the Italian Navy also gave an incentive to smugglers to use even less seaworthy vessels for a greater number of migrants. Thus, the Mare Nostrum mission actually contributed to the increase in smuggling and put more lives in danger. However, we can support a claim that the internal quarrels over migration policy need to come to an end, and Frontex must have supremacy over unilateral actions.
We can conclude, ladies and gentlemen, if there is one thing that all parties agree on, it is a call for greater solidarity between the member states of the EU and a close cooperation with neighbouring states to tackle the problem of illegal migration as comprehensive and long-lasting as possible. We hope to see more efforts in this direction in the future. Thank you for listening and good night.